After I refused to buy my sister a luxury car, she snapped, "Then your son isn't invited to my kid's birthday." Everyone laughed. I just smiled. Everyone will get what they deserve. They had no idea what was coming the next day. My son was holding the Lego set so tight his knuckles had gone white. That's the detail I come back to. Not my sister's voice, not my mother's slow, satisfied nod, not my aunt's actual, genuine laugh at the expense of an 8-year-old who had done nothing to any of them except exist in a room while adults decided he was a useful instrument of leverage. The knuckles, the Lego set, Star Wars, the one he'd been talking about for 3 weeks, wrapped himself in paper he'd chosen at the craft store, tape applied with the serious care of a child who wanted to do it right. His gift for his cousin Miles's birthday. White knuckles around blue paper. My sister Vanessa said, "Your son isn't welcome here," in front of my mother, my Aunt Linda, a florist who had arrived at exactly the wrong moment and was now studying the arrangement of carnations in her hands with profound concentration. Eli looked up at me, 8 years old, 2nd grade, a boy who still reaches for my hand in parking lots even though he pretends not to need to. The rage came in one wave and then it went cold. Completely, cleanly cold. The specific temperature of a decision being made. I looked at my sister. I smiled. "Okay," I said. "Everyone gets exactly what they deserve." She thought she had won. She did not know about the folder. Let me tell you about the 6 years before the folder, because the folder doesn't exist without them. My name is Daniel Okafor. I'm 38 years old. I run a mid-size marketing strategy firm, 12 people, clients in 4 industries, the kind of company that took 9 years to build and requires a specific quality of sustained attention to keep running well. I am not wealthy in any way that makes the word meaningless, but I am comfortable, and I have been comfortable through the particular combination of effort and discipline and a run of good decisions that has held together longer than I had any right to expect. My sister Vanessa is 34. She is talented, charming, and equipped with the specific social intelligence of a person who understands exactly how rooms work and has built her whole life around navigating them. She has a son, Miles, who is a good kid, genuinely good, the kind of kid who tells you what he's thinking and means it, and who has inherited none of the characteristics I'm about to describe. She is also, and I say this with the precision of someone who has had 6 years to examine the data, a person who has never in her adult life encountered a financial problem she did not solve by redirecting toward me. The first time I helped her, Miles was 2 and her daycare situation had collapsed and she was between jobs, and the number was $1,800 for 6 weeks of coverage while she sorted things out. I wired it that afternoon. She sorted things out. The $1,800 was not repaid, which I absorbed because the situation had been real and the need had been genuine, and I was not going to make an accounting ledger out of my nephew's childcare. The second time was 6 months later. The third time was the month after that. At some point in year 2, the request had become structural, not emergencies, but assumptions. The expectation that a certain category of problem was mine to solve. Dental bills, car repairs, 3 months of a mortgage when she and her then boyfriend had a difficult period. A laptop for Miles when his was dropped. My mother, Adize, 63 years old, retired, with the patient certainty of a woman who has been managing her children's relationships with each other for their entire lives and has developed strong opinions about how those relationships should be structured, was supportive of this arrangement. She never said so directly. She said it through the particular quality of her silence when I helped, and the particular quality of her sighs when I hesitated. My Aunt Linda, who is my mother's younger sister and who attends family events with the energy of someone who has come specifically for the subtext, said once, just once, at a Christmas dinner 4 years ago, "Daniel, you've always been the generous one." The sentence had a temperature that was not warm. I started the folder in year 2. Not because I intended to use it, because I am a person who runs a business and cannot turn off the part of my brain that tracks where money goes. I named it Vanessa, support records, and I put everything in it. Wire transfer confirmations, the photo of the check I wrote directly to her dentist for an $8,000 root canal, receipts from the 3 times I had paid vendors directly for things she needed. I kept it the way you keep insurance. Not because you expect to use it, but because the keeping is its own form of clarity. By year 6, the total at the bottom of the summary spreadsheet was $127,400. I had not looked at that number in months. I looked at it the night after the birthday incident, and then I laughed, a single genuine laugh in the dark of my home office, because that number could have bought a house, and the thought of what else that money could have been was the first moment all evening I felt something other than cold. The car conversation had started the week before. Vanessa had been sending me links. German SUV, panoramic roof, heated seats, which she described as a safety feature for Miles, on the grounds that cold children are uncomfortable, and uncomfortable children are distracting to drivers, which is technically a chain of logic, even if the conclusion it produces is, my brother should buy me a $70,000 car. She escalated to phone calls. I let the first one go to voicemail. Her message was 14 minutes long. The ratio of safety language to desire language was approximately 1 to 9. I called back on a Tuesday evening when Eli was at soccer practice. "Vanessa," I said, "I'm not buying you a car." The silence on her end had a specific quality, the silence of someone recalibrating, moving from the plan that assumed yes to the contingency that assumes resistance. "You just landed the Henderson account," she said. "The whole industry knows about it. You can absolutely afford this." Affording something, I said, doesn't pocket your money. She made a sound. Then she said, I need to see you. Come to Mom's tomorrow. I want to talk about this properly. I should have known what properly meant. I brought Eli. The florist arrived at the wrong moment, or the right moment, depending on your perspective. She had come to deliver an arrangement for Miles's birthday party the following day, and was standing in the doorway with her arms full of peonies when Vanessa made her announcement. My mother was on the sofa in the specific posture of a woman who has positioned herself for observation rather than intervention. My Aunt Linda was in the armchair with her iced tea. These were not accidental positions. This room had been arranged. Vanessa stood in the center of it. She had been building towards something since I arrived. I could feel the architecture of it, the way certain conversations have a destination that the speaker has already been to before the listener arrives. She had moved through pleasantries, through an update about Miles's party preparations, through 2 pointed references to the Henderson account, with the patience of someone who is waiting for the moment she has rehearsed. The moment arrived when I said, again, in front of the room, I'm not going to buy you a car, Vanessa. She pointed at the door. Then Eli doesn't deserve to be at Miles's party tomorrow. The florist found something very interesting in her peonies. My aunt laughed. Not a surprised laugh, a satisfied one. The laugh of someone watching something she anticipated. My mother gave the slow nod. I looked down at Eli. His eyes were swimming, not crying. Eli does not cry easily, which is something he learned from me without my intending to teach it. But the specific look of a child who has been told by adults who should know better that he is not worth including. He was still holding the Lego set. Star Wars, blue paper, white knuckles. I looked back at Vanessa. I smiled. Okay, I said. Everyone gets exactly what they deserve. She smiled back. The smile of a woman who believes she has won. We left. In the car, Eli was quiet for a block, and then he said, Is Miles going to be sad I'm not at his party? I thought about Miles. About the fact that Miles is a good kid who did not design this situation. I'll call Miles later, I said. This isn't about you and Miles. This is between the adults. He considered this. Are you going to fix it? He said. I looked at him in the rearview mirror. Yeah, I said. I'm going to fix it. That night, after Eli was in bed, I opened the laptop. Vanessa. Support records. I had not touched the folder in 4 months. I scrolled through it, the years of it, the accumulated documentation of a habit I had maintained without quite understanding its purpose. Wire transfers with dates and amounts, invoice photos, a scanned check. The spreadsheet at the bottom with the running total, $127 to $400. I read through it for 45 minutes. Then I called my attorney. Marisol Vega has been my business attorney for 7 years. She handles contracts, disputes, and the occasional situation that does not fit neatly into a category but requires someone who thinks clearly under pressure. She is 41 years old. She has been practicing for 14 years, and she has the particular quality of someone who does not waste words when she has an accurate assessment ready. I emailed her the folder at 11:47 p.m. with one line. We're done. I need financial disengagement documentation by 8 a.m. She called me back at 11:57. This is thorough, she said. 6 years, I said. I see that. A pause. How far do you want to go? No more support, no more access, no more guarantor exposure. Everything in writing, in language she can't talk her way around. I can have 3 documents drafted by 7, she said. I need a 4th, I said. Credit union. Remove me as guarantor on anything connected to her name. I want that done before morning. Understood, she said. Get some sleep. I did not get very much sleep, but what I got was the sleep of a man who has made a decision and is at peace with it. By 8:14 a.m., 3 emails had gone out from Marisol's office. The first to Vanessa. Formal termination of all financial support, effective immediately, with a summary of the 6-year total, a statement that no further requests would be honored, and a legal notice that any attempt to access my accounts or credit in any form would be treated as fraud. Signed, dated, filed. The second to my mother. The joint emergency account I had been quietly funding for 3 years, a standing contribution I had set up after my father's death, because it seemed like the right thing to do, and because my mother had presented it as something she needed, was closed. The remaining balance had been transferred to her directly. The contribution structure was done. The third to my credit union. Remove me as guarantor on any account, credit line, or financial instrument connected to Vanessa's name or social security number. Effective immediately. Confirmed in writing. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and watched Eli eat cereal. He was reading the back of the cereal box with the focused attention he brings to anything with text on it. He had not mentioned the birthday party. I had not mentioned it. We were in the easy quiet of a Saturday morning that belonged to us. At 11:58 a.m., my phone began moving across the counter. Mom, Daniel, what did you do to the accounts, Vanessa? Are you serious right now, Vanessa? This is insane, Vanessa. Call me right now. Aunt Linda, I cannot believe you are ruining a child's birthday over a car. You need to grow up. Mom, the emergency account is gone, Daniel. You need to call me Vanessa. You are actually unhinged. I read each message. I did not reply to a single one. I put my phone face down. I poured a second cup of coffee. I was a ghost. At 2:17 p.m., Marisol sent a text that stopped me where I stood. Balloon vendor called your office. Your platinum visa ending 4409 is on file for Miles's party deposits. Did you authorize this? I set my mug down. I stood in the kitchen. My platinum visa ending in 4409 is my primary business card. It lives in my wallet. I had never, not once, given that number to Vanessa, written it down anywhere she had access to, or used it for any personal purpose that would have put it in her reach. She had either photographed it, memorized it, or both. At some point, Maybe recently, maybe years ago, she had stored my business card number the way you store a spare key. Something you don't use until you need to. Something you keep quietly, in reserve, for the moment when you've run out of other options. She had planned to run $20,000 worth of party on my card, after excluding my son from the party. I kept my voice completely even when the vendor answered. "This is Daniel Okafor," I said. "You have a card on file ending in 4409. I need you to understand. That card was not authorized for this order. The card information was obtained without my consent. Do not dispatch a single item to the delivery address on file." A pause. "Oh," the woman said. Yes sir, I'll flag it. Thank you. You'll be receiving a call from my attorney shortly with formal documentation." I hung up. Then I called every other vendor I could identify from the original invite Vanessa had sent 2 weeks earlier. The photographer, the petting zoo, the bakery with the 3-tiered fondant cake. It took 40 minutes. Every one of them had 4409 on file. The total across all 4 vendors, $19,340. I forwarded Marisol the documentation at 3:47 p.m. Stop everything. Credit card fraud. 4409 on file with 4 vendors without authorization. I want a fraud report filed with the card issuer and formal documentation to each vendor before end of business. Marisol replied in 4 minutes. Already on it. Are you filing criminal? I thought about Miles. About the fact that he was 9 years old and his birthday was tomorrow. Civil only for now, I wrote back, but keep everything. Vanessa called at 4:08 p.m. I answered. "The petting zoo won't call me back," she said. Her voice had passed through fury and arrived somewhere more desperate. "The balloon company canceled. The bakery is holding the cake. What did you do?" "I stopped a fraud," I said. "A fraud? Daniel, this is Miles's birthday. You put my business card on file with 4 vendors without my authorization," I said. "That is credit card fraud." I reported it. Dead silence. "You wouldn't," she said. It was not a threat. It was genuinely uncertain. The voice of someone who has, for the first time, encountered a version of me she did not know existed. "Check your email," I said. "Marisol sent you the fraud documentation 40 minutes ago." She exploded. The specific explosion of someone who has been certain of their leverage and has discovered it was the other person's leverage all along. She threatened. She cried, briefly, the kind of crying that is a tool rather than an emotion and stops quickly when it doesn't produce results. She said, "I will never forgive you 4 times." I said nothing during any of it. When she stopped, I said, "You used a card you stole from me to pay for a party you excluded my son from." Then I hung up. Without my card holding it together, the party collapsed. No balloon arch, no petting zoo. No 3-tiered fondant cake with the Pantone-specific icing color Vanessa had specified in writing in her vendor emails. A detail Patrick, who handled my business accounts and had pulled the vendor chain, described to Marisol as aggressively specific for someone committing fraud. No professional photographer. A birthday party that had been constructed entirely on the assumption of my money for a child who deserved better than a birthday built on a stolen card. My mother called at 6:30. "Just pay the vendors," she said. Her voice had the specific quality of a person who believes that a return to the previous state of affairs is still possible if everyone would just cooperate. "We'll sort out the rest later. Don't embarrass this family in front of the neighborhood." I thought about the florist studying her peonies. I thought about my aunt's laugh. I thought about Eli's white knuckles. "You smiled when he was excluded," I said. You nodded. "You were in the room and you said nothing and you nodded." I paused. "You live on that side now." I hung up. Then I sat on the couch and watched my son build his Lego spaceship on the living room floor because I had bought it from him after the party incident to replace the one he hadn't been able to give, and because watching him build things is one of the best ways I know to spend a Saturday evening. He was happy, unbothered, fed, building something with careful hands in good light, in a home that was safe with a parent who was present. That's what the money was for all those years, not Vanessa's dental work. This. Marisol filed the civil fraud claim on Monday. Her paralegal, a meticulous man named Greg, who had been with her practice for 6 years and who described his professional specialty as making sure paperwork is the most dangerous thing in the room, assembled the complete evidentiary package, the vendor invoices with 4409 in the billing field, the fraud notification from my card issuer, the documentation from each vendor confirming they had the card on file without my authorization, and a transaction history showing that 4409 had never been used for any personal or family purpose, only business, which established that Vanessa had no plausible claim of inadvertent access. Her fingerprints on all of it. Vanessa's attorney, a man named Curtis, who Marisol described as good enough to understand when his client has no case, contacted her on Wednesday. The conversation was short. Vanessa would repay the 6-year support total at a structured rate, formalized with a lien against her property. She would sign a document acknowledging that no further financial claims existed between us, and that any future contact regarding money would be treated as harassment under the terms of the agreement. In exchange, I would not pursue the criminal fraud referral. Curtis recommended she accept. She accepted on Thursday. The total on the repayment schedule, $127,400 at a structured rate over 5 years. Secured. I thought about the number, about what else it could have been, about the house. Then I closed the laptop and went to watch Eli finish his Lego spaceship. Miles called Eli the following Saturday. Not Vanessa. Miles, 9 years old, using his mother's phone, which told me everything I needed to know about whose idea it was. "I'm sorry you weren't at my party," Miles said. I could hear it from across the kitchen. The specific solemnity of a child delivering an apology he means. Eli, sitting on the counter in his socks, said, "It's okay. It wasn't your fault." "I know," Miles said, "but still." Eli agreed. They talked for 12 minutes about Minecraft and some injustice involving a soccer referee, and whether the new Lego sets were better or worse than the old ones, which is a debate with no resolution. When Eli hung up, he put the phone on the counter and looked at me. "Can Miles still come over sometime?" he said. I thought about Miles, about the fact that he is a 9-year-old who didn't design any of this, and who called to apologize on his own initiative. "Yeah," I said, "Miles can always come over." Eli nodded, satisfied. He picked up the phone and went back to his room. I stood in the kitchen. I thought about Vanessa, somewhere across town, looking at a repayment schedule. About my mother, with her closed emergency account and her specific silence on the other end of calls I was not returning. About Aunt Linda, who had laughed at my son. I thought about 6 years of a folder I had kept without knowing when I would use it. It turned out the moment had chosen itself. Some moments do. I told Eli the full version of things 3 months later. Not all the financial detail. He's 8. He doesn't need that. But the shape of it. That Aunt Vanessa had done something that wasn't right. That I had handled it the right way. That things were going to be different now. But that Miles was still his cousin. And that wouldn't change. He listened with the focused attention he brings to things he understands are important. "Did you fix it?" he said. I thought about Marisol's filing. About Greg's paperwork. About 4 vendor calls in 40 minutes and a business card that had been someone else's secret weapon for longer than I knew. "Yeah," I said. "I fixed it." He nodded. Then, "Dad?" "Yeah, you always smile like that when you've already done something," he said. "Before you even say what it is." I looked at him. 8 years old, 2nd grade, sharp eyes. "Do I?" "At Grandma's house, when Aunt Vanessa said I couldn't come to Miles's party. You smiled like you already knew what was going to happen." I thought about the cold that had moved through me, about the folder, about the moment the rage became decision. "I knew what I was going to do," I said. He considered this. "Is that why you weren't scared?" I thought about it. "No," I said. "I wasn't scared because of you. Because you were standing there holding that Lego set and you hadn't done anything wrong and you were trying so hard to be okay." I looked at him. "When it's about you, I don't get scared. I just get clear." He thought about this for a moment. Then he went back to his Lego. I watched him build.